the second benefit that music allows us to do is open up. And this is really profound. Got just tons of great stories from my clinical work and working with clients and patients about how music allows them to open up in a way that talk doesn't. See, with talk, you need the right words and the right listener. And even if you're journaling, you don't need a listener, but you still need the right words. And language can sometimes build a bridge between, our awareness or between two people, but it can also be a toll booth. Because oftentimes, let's talk about emotion for a second, emotion just being energy in motion. You gotta, if you don't have the right words to describe that emotion, to articulate that emotion stays trapped in your body. And so we know from Bessel van der Kolk and Peter Levine, and Taruno was talking about Peter's work, and Nikki was talking about this work on Friday about the issues are in our tissues. That energy is in our body. We need to get that energy out of our body. And language sometimes is actually the wrong tool. Sometimes cognitive behavioral therapy, really challenging our thoughts, right, is really effective. And then sometimes it's not. So we need other tools. I had a client once where we were drumming, and this client it was his first music therapy group, and he had a buffalo drum. So it's a frame drum that has a handle, and he had a mallet, and he's banging on the drum, right? And he's pretty quiet, and it's not unlike this kind of frame drum, except it had a frame about this deep instead of only like this. And he's just sitting there playing the drum during our group. And he's not saying much of anything throughout the whole group. And at the end of group, clients and patients have to write out like a little note, what they take away from the session. And what he wrote, never saw this coming. What he wrote was, I found a way to get the violence out of me. What? I don't even, that's not an experience I've ever had in my body. I've never had this feeling that there's violence in my body, much less a need to get it out. Now, what's really amazing about the story was this client's arms were littered with scars from him cutting. He had literally been cutting himself in an effort to get the violence out. Wasn't working, because there was probably easily 24 scars. And in one session with a drum, he found a new tool. And he didn't say anything about it, right? I might have missed it if it wasn't for the fact that he had to write this little thing. So super profound that he was able to get that energy for him, which the word violence described, get it out of his body. Music allows us to express emotion, which just means to squeeze out energy, right? It's a beautiful thing about music. You can literally take out your emotions on an instrument. Like drums, when I was growing up, drums meant a drum set. Drums didn't mean this. I didn't even know about this. I didn't even know about this till I became a music therapy student. And then I was like, there's all kinds of instruments out there that I didn't know. And I can take out my emotions on this drum. This drum's purpose in life is to be beaten, is to be hit. That is its reason for being, right? So I can take out my emotions, express my emotions through the drum, and I don't need language to process it. I remember being at a drum circle where I was going through a really tough time. Someone was bullying my mom. My mom's 83. Not cool. And I wanted to do violence to this person who was bullying my mom, but I couldn't. Well, let's just say I could see the road where that went if I did violence to this person. And that wasn't a road I wanted to take. But I had all this anger inside of my body and I didn't know what to do with it. So I would go to the drum circle with the biggest drum I had. And for 2 hours, I would just bang on that drum. Nobody at the drum circle knew what I was processing. I didn't speak to anybody at the drum circle. But as I'm pounding to the beat, I'm making eye contact with people. People are like, right on, and no words necessary. So music allows us to open up and express emotion in a way that just talk doesn't. And yesterday, my employee shared with me during our weekly meeting that she had a one-to-one last week with a teen who had been in residential treatment for weeks, multiple weeks, probably on average, they're usually there around 8 weeks. And the client said at the end of the session, the music motivates me to open up and talk about things that haven't come up in other sessions. And they got to a point in the conversation as a result of the music where the client said to my music therapist, I haven't talked about this with my family therapist, my individual therapist at all while I've been here. And he was getting ready to discharge. The music allowed him access to a place in his journey that door had previously been closed for whatever reason. His subconscious had left it closed through all the talk therapy he had done while he was in residential treatment, and which means he's living at a facility and he's in daily one-to-ones and he's in daily groups, multiple process groups per day. And it never came up, but the music opened that door. So music allows us to open up in ways that other things don't.